The following video contains spoilers. We suggest watching the episodes alone in the dark. Hello, Wolfpack! Cat is back to finally check out the thing in the apartment. You know it, the fridge! Wah, wah. Oh, and apparently we have some fan favorite Crypt TV fable. Whatever. So, our webisode opens up with our main character Lindsay calling another main character named Sam for aid. Lindsay's run away from home because she saw a monster in her loft.
What's in there?
Something, it just walked into my room.
You what?
Yep, Crypt TV launches instantly into action, revealing that this is going to be a good old-fashioned things that go bump in the night monster fable, but set in our modern period. Two city girls are forced to confront a boogeyman among us. A pretty fun premise, full of so much dread and amusement, if a tad rushed and plot light. Sam tries to save her BFF, finding her hiding at a church. Won't lie, at first I thought this was some kind of clever foreshadowing, since sacred grounds are usually depicted as safe zones which scare off demons or supernatural horrors. But nope, the show only got this pretty church shot because it looks cool.
Well, that was pointless.
We get a very pointless drawn-out scene of the pals finding each other, where after reuniting, Lindsay informs her bud on the sitch. She was simply chillaxing at her apartment until a monster broke in, scaring her out of her own home and running a million miles out to escape. She just plumb forgot where she was even going because she was that emotional.
Heh, crazy women always hearing things.
Why didn't you call the police?
I didn't know if it would be in there if I even...
What? Why? Oh, something broke into my house. Better call my bestie over those uncool authorities. Lindsay and Sam are not very bright. To be fair, we get a rather darn good flashback scene of Lindsay hanging in her crib, chilling under the dark room until she hears strange noises. It's very solid build up to our monster, as there's always some eerie quiet in this short, and the monster acts like a primal hunter, using the shadows for camouflage. The intro to this thing is mega creepy. Now that's scary good. I suppose now's a good time to talk about the thing. Not quite. The Crypt TV thing is this unsettling ghoul/Wendigo hybrid with a grisly alien design. It operates as this super effective boogeyman-ish monster lurking in the dark, viciously stalking the prey for food. We don't get to see too much of the creature, as it's both a mix between practical makeup and some CGI, but it looks like a nice mix between the monster from inside the closet and Diane from Lights Out. We never learn too much about him, as it's mainly a feral beast, but we get hints later. This is clearly an homage to our classic children's monster stories, as the plot's mainly the thing being this scary man hiding in the dark, haunting these innocent people when they're alone in the night. A feat I do genuinely respect and enjoy, but alas, the thing's writing grows inconsistent as we carry on, and its awesome design is slightly held back by how it's only shown in glimpses. As a whole, the monster has great potential, but I do have issues with the story. Speaking of which, the monster jacks Lindsay's swag, revealing how he got here. Sam, of course, doesn't believe her, and assumed that her gal pal's high or something on some new age sleeping pills she recently got, and is hallucinating all this. Throughout this two-parter, Crypt TV sets up some type of plot device by having the characters briefly mention these new age sleeping pills with no brand name as some kind of connection to the thing. But, spoiler alert, we never, and I mean never, learn exactly what part these sleeping pills play in this adventure at all. The pills are brought up, teased to be some kind of bait luring the thing, and the film never addresses what they are or what they do. Crypt TV was planning to explain this in a future sequel, but as of today, they still never did, and don't resolve any of this in the original story, so it hurts the narrative. It is entirely and utterly abandoned.
Sam? I know if it was the pills.
Well, that was pointless.
I know there's a chance this could be resolved down the line, but there's no excuse. It harms the original supercut by not amounting to anything now. You shouldn't have a setup without any payoff.
That's Future Spike's problem.
Hoping to help her gal pal out, Sam makes the brilliant decision to go check out the apartment, all alone at night with no phone and only armed with a pint of pepper spray.
It's a death wish. You might as well just come out here to investigate a strange noise or something.
Sorry horror family, but this is another spooky story which has brain-dead monkey morons making dumb choices BS. To their credit, Sam wants to be sure they know what it is, or if it's serious before calling the cops, but why would you risk it? Sam assumes Lindsay only saw an animal in her house, but even if you don't buy it's a monster, your bestie said it was a home intruder or beast, and you still want to confront it? She doesn't even call up some friends or the neighbors to help. She just races right into a dark apartment she knows something might be lurking in.
Are you some kind of moron?
It's just suicidally foolish, and even Crypt TV could cook up better excuses to keep the protagonists alone. They make up for it with some unsettling dread of the idiot looking around the dark complex with small hints at Lindsay's life, like their closeness and even her drinking problem. It is definitely an eerie style, as you wait in anticipation for the monster somewhere. After some misleads and jump scares, it seems aight, but Lindsay spots the Prowler, and he's no friend of Miles Morales, so she tries saving Sammy, but she's too late. Lindsay finds the thing devouring her bestie, but stupidly makes noises before running away. I wanted to know if you were alive while your face was in his mouth. But oh no, the thing spots her.
What's that?
That was actually a darn good scare. Well, it was before Lindsay locks herself in her faulty car while the thing somehow teleports for the big finish.
Instead of shooting where I was, you should have shot at where I was going to be.
Apparently the thing can teleport as well, but don't worry, he only uses that power once and never again.
What? And ruin the plot?
Despite some of my nitpicks and the forced idiot moves, part 1 is a decent monster story overall, that I believe folks can have scary fun watching. But alas, part 2 is where this saga hits a downward spiral. Chapter 2 opens up with a brief recap of the original's ending, but this time it shows us the neighbor's POV from their apartment side. A couple named Sean and Leia overhear the commotion next door and rubberneck. We get a small, and I do mean small, intro to the couple and their tale. Apparently the girlfriend Leia is somewhat aware that there's a monster on the loose, as she has had psychic visions of the thing, watching her, hunting her, clipping her art, and gained the ability to sense when it's near.
I was all alone. And it was like there was something looking at me from far away. Just staring at me.
These are some stellar visuals and claustrophobic tricks to hype up the monster. But alas, exactly like the stupid sleep pills plot thread, this idea goes absolutely frickin' nowhere. The short sets up Leia having a connection with the beast, but it amounts to F all, and you'll see why it utterly fails soon enough. The short wants to establish some type of shining power, yet they don't take full advantage of it outside of showing off trippy camera work for the thing, and hint that nightmares have some link to it. Sadly, they're saving all this for a sequel we still have never gotten.
Tomorrow when we wake up, I want you to call the doctor and tell him what's happening. Those pills are messing you up.
We are so lost.
No, we're not.
We're not going anywhere.
Yes, we are.
We have no direction at all.
Yes, we do.
Told you we weren't going anywhere.
Exactly like the first, the guy doesn't believe her and thinks it's the new age sleeping pills. However, they hear Lindsay's death outside where they peep, revealing that some government agents are outside handling the scene. Believe it or not, this is the only actual hint we get for the thing's backstory. The monster is some type of government test subject which broke out of the laboratory and is wreaking havoc upon the world. Yet these spec op guys are actually the men in black tracking down the alien/mutant to recapture it, and are covering all evidence that the thing was ever here.
You know what the difference is between you and me? I make this look
Bad. If you don't know, Crypt TV is using these government agents to plug their cinematic universe, as according to the Cryptopedia, these Call of Duty ghosts really work for a major character dubbed Mika, and are hunting the thing to use for her Duel Monsters project. Yes, these random mysterious characters who we the audience don't know what to make of are minions to a Crypt TV Nick Fury of some kind, and are here to world build the Cryptverse. And this is a big issue I have. Crypt TV awkwardly grinds the story to a screeching halt and confounds the average viewers like I to plug 1,000 more sequels and world building on par with The Amazing Spider-Man 2. The film itself never explains who these guys are, why they plan to abduct the thing and conceal the truth, or even answer the questions of part 1 because Crypt TV wants to indulge in 1,000 more side stories over giving us a finished one. I don't like it because it's confusing and tragically harms the story because it feels incomplete, as they demand you get the answers in hundreds of other lore. The casual viewer isn't going to understand this, and it doesn't flow naturally. Oh, and if you think I'm being too harsh, guess what? We find out who these guys are and what they do with the thing in a video game. So, if you ever hope to see the thing again or even learn who the Men in Black are, go buy the video game, because it's as brilliant as inserting Emperor Palpatine's return in Fortnite.
It ain't comedy that's in my blood. It's selling out.
The sad part is, I actually like the idea that the thing's an escaped monster which the government's hunting down. And this does add a greater scope to the Cryptverse, but they should have had a proper explanation, or at least some clarity in the thing's own story arc. The interconnected storytelling is so confusing and wastes all fun we had in this tale. Speaking of wasted, Leia senses the monster lurking about and begs her man to run away with her. But of course, he doesn't listen, and the thing returns to Halo assassinate the psychic girl. I'll admit, it's a pretty creepy shot of the thing sneaking up on her, but this scene is so moronic. The psychic girl, who has the power to sense when the thing is watching her and nearby, apparently is so good that she can't sense when it's literally 3 inches right behind her. That That's some Snoke skills, homegirl. The agents take notice and pursue the thing, but before Sean can reach the door, the thing runs away, only to randomly come back and eat him. I just love how the monster stealth kills the girl, but then slinks away, only to suddenly come jolting back to eat the second moron, making you question why he even ran away.
You are stupid!
According to Cryptopedia and numerous fan theories, the short film teases that the thing might be weakened or vulnerable to light. Going along with the boogeyman theme, the thing is usually hiding within the dark, hates the brightness, the Super Troopers use night vision to track him, and he cowers when it appears the light's too much for its nocturnal body. That's a pretty interesting concept, if it weren't for one prob. We frequently see the thing standing in light all the time. No! The thing is literally standing in lit rooms, kills Sean in a flickering hall, doesn't seem to get hurt by the light, and at one point is seen eating Sammy in a fully lit room.
Great continuity!
It's unknown if it does have a light weakness, but the short doesn't do a good job conveying it if that is what they're aiming for, since the thing seems more inconvenienced by light, but has no problem being around it. Not to mention, the government agents don't seem to wield lights at all while hunting it, so it's up in the air. But believe it or not, that's where it ends. The thing kills all the protagonists, and we never know if the Men in Black caught him unless you play the video game.
Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching-gery.
Anywho, that was the fan favorite Crypt script, The Thing in the Apartment, and it needs major remodeling. This admittedly isn't the worst horror schlock ever, but it feels so unfinished. There were originally plans for more chapters in this story arc, but it has now been 6 years and we haven't seen a darn thing. Pun intended. Fans genuinely desire a third part, maybe more, but tragically the story is not yet done, and the thing clearly had a larger arc which was supposed to happen and resolve all my petty criticisms. Unfortunately, it never came, and I do have to judge this on its own merits, and I was far from impressed. I'm not unreasonable, as I can understand trying to take on such a project as this for a very expensive monster could be troubled, and you do require time and hard work to do so. But the quality drop between part 1 and 2 does not help, and they feel like they're two different entities. I honestly thought part 1 was real decent and made for a very scary monster fable, with eerie atmosphere, solid anticipation, a gross alien-like boogeyman, epic shots, and classic fear of what lies in the dark. There are a few hiccups here and there, but I think most would find it fun to get scared by. But oh, sweet Celestia, part 2 is where it began to crash and burn. The second part is way too short, crams in some rushed world building, raises even more questions which still haven't been answered, relies on lazy jump scares, left plot threads unresolved, and overdoses on the sequel bait. I'm sure some fans are fine with part 2 on its own, but when you learn that it's been 6 years and we still haven't seen sign of the thing's future except in a frickin' video game, it does feel like a huge letdown. Part 1 is a fine standalone terror, but part 2 got worse the more I thought it over. What infuriates me most is that the second chapter lacks an ending or a solid enough conclusion to wrap up the story, but rather teases a million more side stories to invest in the crypt. Not to mention, just rushing in this mega cryptverse also downgrades the thing from a savage boss into a frightened animal running away from the government like a fugitive. The intro to the Men in Black, while cool for a cryptverse shield, does really undercut the thing as a force to dread when we learn it's hiding from Spec Ops. Usually Crypt TV is good at hyping up their monsters or teasing this larger-than-life universe full of all their creatures existing together in one world, but this felt sloppy, like they bit off more than they could chew, had no clue how to resolve the main narrative, baffle you if you don't keep up with this saga, contradict their own setup, make you care less about the new dead meat sacks, and were more interested in telling multiple story arcs. Part 1 is a simple yet super effective monster story about two paranoid everyday people uncovering the horror of a real monster in their room and fearing when it'll strike from the shadows. But Part 2 sadly robs all that for injecting the cinematic universe train in a second chapter, which had potential to carry on this monster's terror, but would rather have him join some Cryptverse Avengers team sometime in the future. And the worst part is, judging this all together, Part 2 does drag the original down with it. I was just disappointed and very lost following the second chapter, and researching why it turned out this way only made me despise it more. Regardless, I think most audiences would find some amusement in the supercut short film as a dumb fun monster story, but probably not as an investment in a whole new fictional franchise trying to sell you new games, merch, and future films. So, I grant this thing a silver skull. Overall, a fine, scary misadventure fueled by some grueling atmosphere, high suspense, and a cool monster, but held back by an attempt at overselling you too many spin-offs, bad direction, unfinished ideas, and more love for a grander story arc over ending the main one. I do recommend it if you want to see one of Crypt TV's early starts to their universe, but will admit that it's nothing iconic. The thing in the apartment is worth the price of visiting, but lacks some flair to keep up a good cost of living. I'm your host, Catastrophe, and what the it begins! Where am I?